Hello, everybody, and welcome to this. I mean, honestly, one of the probably most special interviews I've ever done in my very short interview career. I'm here joined by the director of the Soul Reaver Remaster 1 and 2, Raina Audron. Audron, is that right? Yeah.
Audron, yeah.
Audron, yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Raina. I know I've only introduced you as the director of Soul Reaver 1 2, but you've actually directed other projects and you've got other credentials. So would you mind telling the people and sharing some of your credentials, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. So it's Raina Audron here. Most of you potentially already know me from my long-standing YouTube channel. I started that 2007. It feels like ages ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, I'm basically just a Soul Reaver fan, and ever since I played the Lighthouse demo in 1999, when I was like 12 or something, it just the game. It just caught my so much attention. I just never played such a special and unique game since. It's just phenomenal. But my interest was always Soul Reaver, so I played, and then I found about the Lost Worlds website, and it was like, oh, there's some secret hidden levels or deleted levels and bosses, and I was like really interested into it. So that's what made me make my channel like in 2007. I got my PC, my laptop. Yeah, my first video was low res,
The classics.
yeah, the classics, basically works of their time. So over time, I upgraded my, computer, video, and even got a new mic recently. Since we also do lore videos, or Buzz does. But yeah, it's just I thought after the series was technically over with Defiance and there was nothing coming, I was like, okay, so how do we, keep the flame going? Because there might be some game at some point. I thought, so maybe just keep things alive. So obviously we had Nosgothic Realm, we have the Eidos forums back in the day, and they were still existing. That obviously Square Enix then took over. Just being active. I helped with the MP game Nosgoth. I was moderating the forums.
I love that game. Yeah.
Oh, you do, because I mean it's very divisive title, and even when I saw it for the first time, I had the same thoughts like, why do they not look like vampires? But obviously we found out why later, and it being a component of Dead Sun and different aesthetic, and obviously they later on did provide the more canon looking vampires with sharp long ears and fangs and everything, which was missing there in the original skins. And
Yeah.
and I understand that lots of people, myself included, were like, why does it not look more like LOK? But so I helped with that. I also kept my channel going. Then I started my blog. I started reporting some small news, and documenting my projects. So I have quite a few of them. Maybe I should just mention briefly.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please go.
Vincent Chevalier, one of the LOK fans, he contacted me. He was working on the fan game called LOK Revival.
Ah, yeah.
Do you remember that? It's
I
a
remember.
2D Castlevania style, yeah.
Mm.
So I kind of got in touch with him, or did he get in touch with? I don't remember the details anymore. But basically, I did some sprite works for that, and that was really hard. I'm like, no, never doing animation-based sprites. And again, it was really difficult. But I really enjoyed drawing the little sprites, like items and stuff like that. Yeah, so it was a really good experience. So I guess that was my first fan game, and potentially the only fan game is actually completed and public.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of fan games overall. There was also another one. I think it was by Askar called Fall of Nosgoth. There was this top. Do you probably don't remember?
It sounds familiar. It sounds like something I've heard of, but I don't think I've looked that deep into
Right.
it. Yeah.
So there was even before this. I think it was 2003, 4, 5. That's something around that time. I was doing sprites. My very first sprites, like drawing in MS Paint, that kind of thing, and top down, this kind of cute little sprite game. Basic looking game, but it looks cool. It was an RPG. Unfortunately, I don't think it was ever finished, but there was, I think, a demo or something potentially. But I've not heard from Oscar since, so I hope he's doing well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first project. Then LOK Revival, which actually was completed. I'm really proud of Vincent, finishing it, and because lots of these projects you could start, and other things get in the way.
Yeah.
I know myself, obviously, with my Soul Revenant project, which we started and we tried, and it's very difficult, especially for a 3D game.
Oh yeah.
Very ambitious, but I take these projects like a learning experience. Even if they don't get completed, you still gain XP from it.
Yeah,
You still
definitely.
learn,
You're
you
leveling
improve
up.
your.
Leveling
Yeah,
up, that's it.
exactly. So all of that helped in the end, to develop as an artist. Because from a little child, I was always interested in drawing and painting. I remember I won this art competition in like primary school. Like you had to draw something to do with milk, and I don't know if I still have the picture somewhere, but it was this cartoony milk kind of picnic picture, and I just love drawing animals. And I only want to actually study art too, but I thought I wasn't good enough, so I didn't pursue it in the end. And guess what I'm doing now? Art.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So after all
yeah.
that, it came back
That's
full circle anyway.
do you know, it's quite interesting because you sort of answered my first question, which was what led you down this path.
Oh
And
shit.
no, that's fine. No, you've actually kind of covered it quite nicely, and I think
Yeah.
it's because I was kind of like when you started kind of going on, I was thinking, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense because like you say, you got involved in like the fan games, you're blogging, you're commentating, you're obviously the YouTube channel has a lot of the cutscenes, it has like the the deep dives, things like that, and that just grows your love and passion. I say, like I was going through the YouTube channel and I saw like you had a video on there for 1 million watch hours at one point. I think it was a couple of years ago now, and since then it must have gone way past that now. Obviously, I'm sure.
Yeah, we had a bit of a resurgence recently. I mean, it kind of had ups and downs. Obviously, with Nosgolf, the views went up again, and then it came quiet. And that's why I wanted to do the lore deep dives with Baz. I started on my own, the Arcane Tomes. I think that's very important because I know there's a lot of the lore videos on YouTube in general.
Yeah.
But many of them are, have incomplete information or incorrect information. They can include some sort of element of fan fiction, kind of like not. I prefer facts myself. So, and Baz is very factual because he's one of the LOK wiki admins. So he couldn't be more perfect for this kind of thing. And his language skills are a lot better than mine in terms of describing things. I'm like very direct and like, it's this. One sentence. He would write a whole paragraph about it. And he's just, perfect wiki work because you need to be kind of flourishy and, explain things better. And that's why he took over. And he always was the writer for the Arcane Tomes, but I was doing the visuals, putting it together. But obviously with the game development, I got just so damn busy. I just could not, devote my time to making videos anymore. So he kindly took it over and it's kind of his baby now. And he keeps doing more and more. And these videos take a long time, especially the Arcane Tomes, which usually about 30, 40 minutes, sometimes an hour long.
Yeah.
I think one of our recent Dead Sun video was hour and a half.
Wow. Yeah.
Was
that the documentary of Dead Sun? It was like I think I saw it on the channel. It was like,
yes.
Yeah.
Like kind of documentary style kind of thing. So that was a really big project and it took several months to put it all together. And, you have pages and pages of text. You need to write it down, then obviously edit it, then record it because obviously he does his own voice work. So it was a big, and he actually took over he's doing the visuals, everything he on his own now. So basically he is my channel. So I'm really glad for that. But, I'm still behind the scenes and, doing gameplay. Obviously, I'll be doing recordings for the remasters because obviously my own game.
How does that? Speaking of that, how does that feel to say that my own game? Like you've gone from documenting like cutscenes in the old Soul Reaver 2, Defiance, and you talking about it, reliving it through the lore pages, reading like scriptures from like maybe studios and cut content. And document it for fans and people who want to get involved and jump in, Wikipedia pages. You've gone from that just to say just now my own game. How does that make you feel after all this?
It's incredible. Like if you told my 12-year-old self like 25 years later you'll be director of this project, I would not believe it at all. It's just like, wow. I mean, I'm so honored to be given this opportunity that people trusted me, like because obviously I never had a game dev job before. I obviously started with Tomb Raider 1 to 3 as an environmental artist, and it's actually my modding, even though I did modding bits all throughout my the last 20 years, with the fan projects, drawing, I did like lots of different things which can talk about a bit later in detail. So that all contributed to, like, I did started texture modding slightly with Defiance. Story 1 was never the goal because you couldn't do it before, and it's relatively recent. It was in 2020 when the Flycast emulator allowed actually dumping of the textures and swapping them out.
Right.
And I thought, wow, this is excellent. Like, you're telling me actually we can improve the graphics of Soul Reaver? So I did my first big modding thing. It was mostly just upscaling, and I did touch up the characters and enemies myself, but the environments were just upscaled. And I say just upscaled, but still auto work because the texture bleeding when you upscale something, you need to cut it out and fix the edges, and it's just that was an interesting experience.
Yeah, it's painstaking work, and I think like it obviously is appreciated by a lot of people, because I don't know if you know this, but I'll bring it in anyway, because I think even though it's relative, there's a gentleman or a person called Gemini. He calls himself Gemini Rebirth. He has a page where he worked a lot on the old Resident Evil games. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. So my stream when I started streaming a few years back was Resident Evil mods. So I played a lot of mods from China, North America, Brazil, things like that. And it was always, these people created these mods and they just looked for streamers or people that were interested. And I was like, yeah, give me it, it's fine. PlayStation emulation, or it was PC emulation mods, things like that. And Gemini, what he did was he noticed that, the games just don't run optimally. There was problems here, there were issues. And much like yourself, you've gone in as an artist and, you're sharpening things up, resin detail, really showing, maybe making things brighter or darker so it doesn't look so one shade of everything. He's gone in and basically, totally redone the game's code so that doors load fractions faster, the images are sharper, cutscenes are cleaner, things are quicker, and then people jump on that and they add their own HD upscales, and it becomes this whole thing. And what he did, what I'm leading into, is that he did that, but then he's obviously he's a Soul Reaver fan, which I didn't know he was a Soul Reaver fan. So he got Soul Reaver 2 on the PC, and he said it's infinitely broken. Like there's so many issues of it. He went in and called it Soul Fixer, where it gave you controller support, fixed the cutscenes. And he's been massively supportive of yourself and the whole remasters, because he's seen it was announced, and straight was like, well, that means I can stop doing what I'm doing now, because the remasters essentially going to fix all those issues
exactly
from the PC release. So he looked. I mean that. So I've seen it not firsthand, but I've seen there are people out there who are so passionate about these games, but they're for a lack of a better term, they're just not very visible because the games weren't as active. So how does it feel for you knowing now that it must be a bit nervous, because you're taken on this direction role, you're working so hard and painstakingly through this process to get everything ready, and you announce it, and you kind of, for me at least, you cross your fingers and hope, I hope it gets some views. But when you announce this and you see the massive reception it's gotten, it must be, wow, okay, I didn't expect this. I expected maybe a portion of people from like when the games first come out, but not this kind of reception. How's that been?
Yeah, I mean, this whole resurgence, we got the comic, we got obviously the games coming out, and there's more, stuff around it going on. It's just like after periods of silence, like for 25 years, I'm just, I think it proves that the LOK fans are so dedicated. I mean, we've been trying to keep the flames running for, all this time, and now we can finally see it does pay off. Keep talking about the games, to not give up on them. So to me, it's like it was the fans who kept hope, even though it looked really hopeless for like so long. Especially after Nosgoth got cancelled, it was terrible. Like the last technically unreleased LOK game again, because it didn't reach public. It was just in beta at that point, which was really sad. So but it is what it is, and we kind of pulled ourselves through and just kept doing what we're doing. I started the modding parts, and it was actually my first modding project was like a proper one, was Tomb Raider 2 HD. And I just saw somebody on Discord asking for like help with some transparency, and I was like, I can do that.
Nice.
So I just decided, like, messaged him. It's TR94, TR fan 94, sorry. So saying hi.
Big shout outs.
So we kind of partnered together and started doing this project. So we released the demo of the home level, retextured. So I did the most work, but he was helping and organizing stuff. So it was really cool, and I actually found out I really enjoy texture work. So that was kind of my first like a proper venture. And we were obviously working on a bit more. We had more done, but obviously then Tomb Raider 1 to 3 came. So and then I was like, okay, I have a chance to do it properly this time. So Yeah, I was like, how could I say no? Of course.
Amazing. Speaking of the Tomb Raiders, going back in time a bit, how was you approached about it? Obviously, you're on forums, you're on Discord. I'm assuming you see people say, "Oh, I need help with this, I need help with that." So yeah, I've got the skills, I can do it, no problem. Did word of mouth kind of reach the people involved and say, "Hold on, Raina here, she can really." There's something she got the talent. We can bring her in. She can work. How did that happen? How did the conversations
Yeah,
go?
so basically, after I did the upskill of Soul Reaver, then it was kind of 2 years later, in 2022, I decided to do a full-blown remaster, like not just upscale, but obviously upscale was used in some parts, but actually trace down the sources. And it was thanks to my friend Terry. She really helped me with, we kind of partnered together, and I was like, okay, we can find this source and that source, and it's just one thing led to another. And once you find one source or one source image, then you're like, okay, I found that one, what if I find the other one? And it's just piled up, and I bought a whole thing of many books to
Yeah.
go through and see all the images. I did it for Tomb Raider as well, but it was so real, this whole process of finding out where the source images come from, and finding out, obviously a lot of it was hand painted, so oh
Yeah,
crap,
yeah.
what do I do? I have to I had to do some sort of replacements at some points, but it was this whole research I did. I had to assemble all the texture sheets back to what they were. I mean, I don't know if you know the way the textures work in Soul Reaver, but they're like, let's say the Elder God room, the first room you're in,
Yeah.
the walls, they're made up out of 82 individual squares.
Wow.
And they're all unique. So
Yeah.
it's just one huge texture map, which is really tall. And basically, I didn't have the original map. So what you have to do is cut out the squares from the texture sheet and then assemble it together.
Wow.
And sometimes it was a literal nightmare, because you have this slightly similar squares with different shades of gray.
Yeah.
And it's just like you have to have a really keen eyesight to spot all the differences. And when I was doing it the first time, I did sometimes make a mistake. So when I did the remasters now, I went back and fixed everything which I couldn't find or couldn't slot together. So I was like, oh, so this is how it works, really. Sometimes a second look helps a lot. Sometime later that, oh, okay, this is actually how it works. So yeah, it was a lot of work, but I'd already done it for that project, for the HD mod,
Yeah.
which I did, and I replaced everything, and that was really fun, but really exhausting to do, because I did it like 3, 2, 2. Sorry, oh, my coffee's coming back.
That's all right.
So
If
I
you
was
want a drink, have a drink. Have a
yeah,
drink.
yeah. Well, so basically, I was doing it during my day job, like the older day job I had. So obviously I did the 9 to 5:30 and came back home, and then after dinner I was like, okay, got 3 up to 4 hours I can do every night. So it took me a whole year.
Wow.
Like I took every month I was like, okay, I'll finish one area, and I tried to keep that goal. I mean, it was kind of deadlining myself, but I knew I could do it if I just keep working on the weekends. I think I took just one break, which was in January, when Elden Ring came out. So I gave for like 2 weeks, and I had to stop because I'm not gonna get anything done if I don't come back to it. So I just persisted, I continued, and it's kind of a blur because it's just obviously a period of 1 year, and I remember bits of it doing the bit, the texture sheets and stuff, but just wow. It was a lot of work, but I was committed. I wanted to get it done. I was like, if you want to get things done, you have to do them yourself, and that's my motto, really.
Yeah.
That's why I do all these projects. Obviously, I want to write an art book, so I did it because nobody was doing this, so I thought I can do it myself. Then
that's amazing. You taking initiative. My friend, a good friend of mine, one of my best friends. We was going to college together, and I wanted to pursue art and design graphics. I went to I didn't finish university, unfortunately, but it was something I wanted to do. It just financial circumstances weren't really there for me, and that's why I think what you've done is so incredible, and just hearing you talk about it and your passion and you're pushing through, and it's so inspiring to hear. Because for me, my friend said this to me once. He said, I don't know if how you feel about this comment, but he said to me, you're either the person that creates the games or you're the person that plays the games. It's very hard to be both. What do you think about that? Is that true? Do you think for yourself?
Well, yeah, I guess in one way, in one angle it is, because I found when I was a kid, I had so much free time to play all these games and play them over and over. And back then didn't have internet, or not as much of it. So you just came home from school and just turn on Soul Reaver for like 50th time and just play through again and again, and but all this helped me to understand or understand the game design a bit more, and look at the textures. I mean, it all adds up over time. But now that I'm actually doing the games, I do find myself like I have hard time to turn off. Like I feel like, because it's my passion project, like Soul Reaver is like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It's sometimes hard to like turn off your brain and like, okay, you need a break now, and you just feel like, okay, what if I just improve this and that? There's always so many new ideas and things to fix. So I do find myself like a game a lot less, and so just sometimes it kind of takes away almost your passion for playing the games, because you in them all the time, you're constantly testing, obviously launching levels, and it's it can get a lot. I mean, I try to get some time off, and play some games. Like I'm in the middle of Persona 3 Reload playthrough.
Oh, amazing.
I got stuck on a really difficult boss because I put it like on the hard difficulty or something. Or the hardest one or something, and it's really hard.
I'm playing Metaphor Refantasia at the moment.
Is it really good?
Honestly, I'm not going to say anything, just play it. It's so good.
Oh, okay. I have it.
Better than Persona 5, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's that good. It's that good.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And you play Shin Megami Tensei 5?
Yeah, that's a good. That's the monster one, isn't it? Am I right, or am I like completely wrong there?
It's the mainline games.
No, I don't think I've played that one. No.
No. This is not. It doesn't have any school-going element to it. It's just you just recruit monsters to your party.
No, I don't think I played that one. No.
Yeah. So I have that too. So I have so many big RPGs waiting, and I just can't get to them. It's just crazy. I mean, I do want to, but it's just like in this period of pre-launch, you're just so anxious and like expecting, do people gonna like it? Is it gonna get good reviews? There's just so much anticipation of what's gonna happen. I want to read all the comments. Fingers crossed they're good, and I just can't kind of focus on any game right now. I would want to play something, but I find myself I can't. It's just
Do you find from like an artist's point of view, like when I was doing art and stuff, I don't know if you had that same experience, but they always say an artist's work is never done. Even when now you finish these remasters and they're out there, they're literally ready to be released soon. Do you still feel like you're going to look at it and go, no, I need to open up the files again. I need to go back in and something needs to be. Yeah. Did you feel that?
I mean, I think in general that's things are never perfect. You can still improve things. I mean, with Tomb Raider we had several patches, and I went back in and updated some textures because I thought I could have improved that better, but you wouldn't be human if you wouldn't strive for like, okay, I can still do better and better. There's not such thing as perfection, because in different people's eyes, this is perfect, but somebody else, okay, this is not good yet. It's like various degrees of it. So I think as an artist, like you just, keep striving for like improvements, and it's really good in game development too, because, one day you think, okay, I'm done with it. And the next day you sleep on it. And the next day, like, I could have, it rests in your subconscious. Like if I something have in my brain and it comes back to me like over periods of weeks, and I keep thinking about it, and then I'm like, okay, maybe I should go back and redo it, because that's kind of like, I don't know, it's like an instinct. Maybe I should have done this and that. And, you do have regrets, or maybe I should have fixed it when I could. But, it's that's how life is. You sometimes, have time, and sometimes you don't. So you try your best. I think that's the best way to do it.
I think coming from yourself, someone who's like, obviously is very, very creative, very, very imaginative, loads of passion for the projects you're doing, and obviously taking on obviously you've done the Tomb Raider, but taking on Soul Reaver, it's like a whole even though I wouldn't say they're the same, because they're such different, even though some of the environments could maybe be considered the same, because it's, I want to say ancient, but I think Soul Reaver is so gothic and, cathedral-like, but yet Tomb Raider is it feels more open and maybe a bit brighter in some cases. In some of the games, like Venice and T2 and T1, you've got like the pyramids level there, even though they're very bright. It's like, feels like it's like, I don't want to be rude and say it's just yellow, but there are parts that are just one.
There's a lot of yellow.
Yeah, it's a lot of yellow, and I'm just like, and it's so obviously it must be such a artistic difference for going from that and going, right, okay, I've done it once, I can do it again. Jump on Soul Reaver. I know you've done the the up res before, but now you're dealing with current gen technology, PCs that are doing incredible things. PS5 Pro obviously just dropped, and it's got massive upscaling potential, and it's considered apparently one of the strongest consoles on the market. So it must be quite, freeing that you've got a lot of stuff that you can play with and maybe tune it up even further than you thought?
Well, yes and no,
Okay.
because obviously it's a remaster and it's not a remake, as many people get these things
They
confused.
do, yeah.
Annoyingly. So there's different expectations for both. Remake is can be a lot more loose in interpretation. Like I think Resident Evil 2 did it, Resident Evil 4. I mean, it's still at the heart, it got the essence of the game right. I think Resident Evil 4 is especially really well done. Silent Hill 2 remake as well. But obviously they on a new engine. They have new graphics. Obviously new team of people usually. And sometimes they take different liberties, some things you're not happy with. But remaster is supposed to be, at least for myself, like very faithful to the original. And I know some mistakes I've done with my mods before, like I went a bit too colorful. Because if you were saying about the different aesthetic between Tomb Raider and Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver is very bleak. It has a very dim color palette. It's not really colorful. It's meant to be a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to see like shiny bright reds and yellows and stuff like that. Things are weathered, dusty, old, decrepit. So I kind of, if with the remasters, I stayed true to this aesthetic a lot more than with my mods, because obviously you can switch graphics, so you can't just have something completely shout at you when you press a button. So like I originally on my mod, I changed the pillars to be in black because that's what Soul Reaver 2 established. But if you think about it, it's kind of a retcon. So which one is correct? Because Kain did cleanse the pillars in Blood Omen 1.
Yeah.
And they turn white except the Pillar of Balance. So this is the only one which should be black. And Soul Reaver cutscenes, the FMV and in-game, it basically adheres to it. It's only Soul Reaver 2 and Defiance which they changed it and kept them black. So to me, the original vision of Soul Reaver 1, this is what they intended to make it look like, and potentially somebody else later decided, okay, let's have them black instead. But obviously the switching of the graphics is important, because when you play a mod, or one of my old mods, you can't just switch it on the fly. You have to go on in settings and switch it and probably restart the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that comparison is not there. I mean, you can compare screenshots outside of the game, but that makes you kind of more bound. Apologies.
That's right.
So there were more restrictions in that way. Like I did want to adhere to the original artistic vision a lot more, if possible, especially with the textures. And when you switch, it should look similar enough and should not be suddenly, random colors or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So hopefully, so the difference may be a bit more subtle. I mean, Tomb Raider went a bit quite overboard with some really cool lighting techniques, but the structure of did you actually play them?
I did, yeah. I felt that, like, I mean, as far as remasters go, I think it looked incredible. Like, I honestly, like, when you switch back, even when you switch back, it still looked really good. Like, it just, but like, obviously, I think the biggest thing for me, and I know it's almost the obvious thing, but having her hair long in number one, long in the cutscene, short in game, it's like, and obviously that's because the PS1, couldn't handle it, but just that alone, that detail alone is enough. When you switch back and forward, you're like, okay, that's like, you could have gone in and said, no, it's a remaster, not a remake. We're not remaking her hair. It's going to be as it was in the actual original. Time. But it's like, no, you've got to, you're remastering it, so you've got a master. She was
exactly,
and I think that's important. It's so important because you can go into a game and remaster it, yes, but sometimes you have to take some liberties with some things, even though the artistic vision originally you want to like say you want to keep to it, you want to kind of keep to that vision. But sometimes you've got to go in, like say with the pillar changing the colours, maybe something on Kain's face, maybe something on Razel's eyes, maybe the way he moves, maybe his cloak, the way it sits on him. You could look at that and think, okay, I want it to sit like this. I want it to look more tucked in. More. It looks more like it's natural. It's a natural fit, not just draped. It's not just draped on him. Like he just goes like that, and it's perfect. He's got it done in one.
I know, right?
Yeah. So I totally agree with that. I totally agree that you're not essentially remaking a scene or a part. You're just mastering it. You're perfecting it so that it looks more authentic. Yeah. So I like that a lot.
I mean, this is a great example you just said with Tomb Raider. Like, she was meant to have the long braid. Like, you can see it in the FMV cutscenes, but they couldn't just pull it off in the game. And, in this kind of this kind of example, it makes perfect sense because she was always meant to have the long braid there. It was just technical limitation. So, I mean, we had discussions about it and obviously everything. But yeah, I mean, in this case, it makes complete sense to actually restore the braid. Obviously, we kept the original the same because we don't want to meddle with the way things look in the original. But yeah, in the HD graphics, it makes perfect sense to actually, make it the way they intended. I mean, there was lots of things like the Lost Valley. Is it in a cave or is it just a black sky?
Yeah.
So there was a lot. I mean, I know the fans were discussing this, and yeah, but obviously there's developers have their own ideas. I mean, we obviously had to look through what they said and everything. Yeah, and it was actually not meant to be a cave. It meant because limitations.
Yeah.
And it also gives you different kind of feel to it because obviously when it's black sky and kind of black fog, it kind of makes it more ominous. So some people think it works better in the original, but it's just. Now these days the technologies are quite a bit more advanced. You can see much further, and yeah, it's just sometimes you do have to kind of stray away from it. But with Soul Reaver, also the engine difference is quite big. Obviously they're completely different engines. Obviously Core Design had their own in-house one, and then Crystal had their own as well, called Gex engine. They've actually been using it until very recently with Tomb Raider games. The last Survivor trilogy is all running on an iteration of it.
Wow.
But it all started with Gex 2 and Gex 3, and then Soul Reaver used it, and all the LOK games, and LOK trilogy used it as well. And then it went. There's actually some aesthetic parts in Tomb Raider 2013. I look at them and I can see Defiance almost visuals in it, like especially at the start.
Yeah.
So this engine, it's a bit sad that they stopped using it because obviously it has its own looks and feels.
Yeah.
Which Unreal makes kind of, each engine has their own kind of looks to it.
I've seen the conversations about Unreal. Like, I mean, I didn't watch the whole video, but there was a video came out that said, Unreal has not ruined games, but it's kind of made them all look the same. They look
yes,
scary. And I'm like, to a degree, I kind of agree. I'm like, yeah, okay.
I mean, it makes things easier for developers because you just learn Unreal and you can be hired by anyone because they're all using the same engine. But it does take some engines have their unique aesthetic, and it kind of it's being taken away by that. But it's understandable, in modern terms that they want to use something more approachable because in-house engine is very specific, and it takes time to train people to be able to use it. For Unreal, you have tutorials, you have this and that, but you can't really find tutorials for these specific in-house engines online.
Exactly.
So you can't really prepare.
You okay?
I'm just muting myself.
That's all right. Speaking of changes, something that did come up on X, and I just wanted to bring up to while we talk about changes and mastering things. There was one tweet I saw where I think a fan was maybe a little upset that I think it might have been a previous image, and you went in it. I think you know what I'm going to refer to.
Oh no!
It's a previous image, and then it was changed, and the fan was like, I can't remember the statue's name, but there's a statue of the woman doing this.
She doesn't have a name, but she's just called Astat, or a statue in the code.
Yeah, so they were upset about she had something. I was looking at the image, I was like, I don't know what the problem is. It looks fine to me. Like, maybe I just got a bad memory, but when I looked at her, I was like, this looks okay. But there was something about the statue that was changed, or it was rechanged. And Gemini, actually, the person I talked about earlier, came out and said, you have to understand that it goes through a process. You start, get later on, you change it again. You're always changing stuff. You never just go, okay, we're done with that scene, move on, next scene.
Yeah,
next
exactly.
Scene.
No.
So what happened with that statue? Was there anything with it, or was it just a silly comment and a silly?
I hope you wouldn't have brought it this.
I'm sorry.
God, it's just constant new topics on Steam. It's just like wow. Anyway, so just to keep it short. If when you work in game development, nothing stays, no stone stays unturned for, you keep changing things, you keep improving things, code-wise, art-wise, constantly, and lots of the trailers, for many, I mean, it's the case almost for every single game, like they used some sort of early footage, and, things evolve. I mean, even, in the last few months, people, just in general, people still keep working on the game, and we try to improve as much as we can. So, things improve and change and evolve. So this is just natural, we try to make things better. So obviously we want to stay true to the original material. And, first try sometimes doesn't pan out. And, you come back and, update some things, redo. I mean, texture's the same. Yeah. Like, I have gone back and updated as much as I could. and improve things, because sometimes a second look helps you.
Yeah.
So like some things you did notice the first time, then you kind of get blind working on the same things for so long.
Yeah.
And sometimes a fresh look of somebody else will point out things you couldn't have seen before, or like it's just one of those things. Like you keep, as an artist, you just keep getting better and improving. So I'm really happy with the way it looks now. So yeah, I think there's nothing to worry about.
I personally looked at it, and I was just looking at the images, and I was thinking, I don't see the issue. Like I didn't think there was any issue. I just felt like it was just you done it once, you go back and do it again, and it would change. And then for me, it was always about Raziel, and it was always about Kain, like them two characters. And when I saw Janos in the trailer, oh my god, he looks so good. And I said this in my video, actually. I don't know if you can tell me if I'm right or wrong here, or if I made a really silly comment. Janos is standing there, and he's handing the Reaver to Raziel after he's found him after his long journey. And Raziel standing on this basically glossed floor, beautiful floor, marble. Raziel has a reflection. Janos does not. Is that intentional?
I believe so. I mean, if you switch between the graphics, you can. I'll go back to the original Soul Reaver 2 version. He does not have a reflection there either.
Right. So that's something I never noticed in the original, because I'm not sitting there looking at Janos' foot on this very like PS2 floor. I'm just like, oh yeah, nice Janos. I'm just watching these two people interact, and I'm watching. I saw the trailer part, and I was like, hold on, man, it's got no shadow. This is great. What a great little touch. Yeah,
I had to look through that scene again, and the execution scene afterwards. And I can actually see that one of the Seraphim does have a reflection. He's like, you can see it's reflected. So to me, this indicates that Janos's reflection, not having a reflection, is an intentional design choice.
Yeah,
it wasn't just a limitation, and it could go back to like vampires not having reflection, mythos.
That's why,
which is kind of cool.
That's why I kind of went with, and I thought, I'd say no, I didn't notice it in the PS2 version. I was so focused on what was going on in the actual scene. But looking at it now, I'm like, wow, and that's what I believe the remasters have done. They've opened my eyes, even in the short stuff I've seen. They've opened my eyes to all the detail that we were so missing in the original. The original done looked amazing on PS2. It looked absolutely gorgeous. Soul Reaver 2 this is. But seeing it now in its remastered form, and the all the cutscenes and the trailers, just for me, just so beautiful. And it's just. And the audio, I'm assuming, has obviously been cleaned up, and everything sounds a lot sharper. Speaking of that, is there with the PS5 Pro, was there an option to actually make it enhanced for Pro, or would that be an option in the future? Do you think?
Oh, it will run on Pro like on regular PS5, yeah. So that's not a problem. It will definitely run on it.
Yeah, lovely, yeah, because the Pro has the options for like having like all the options turned on, and whereas a regular PS5 can't handle both or something. I don't know if that's
I mean, to be honest, it's an old game. It will run 60 FPS easily. Don't worry about it.
I'm just one of those. I'm like, oh, it looks so good on my tape.
Yeah. Even on Switch, it should run, like any old classic game. Like with Tomb Raider, I mean, it was like 60 FPS, yeah, easily. So even on the HD graphics, don't worry about that.
Lovely. In Soul Reaver 1, comparing Soul Reaver 1 and 2, what did you find harder to remaster? I know it's a weird question to ask, but looking back...
No, this is an excellent question.
Yeah. What did you find more difficult? Because I felt Soul Reaver 1, personally, was boss-ridden. Like that. I feel like that game the bosses were coming thick and fast. Whereas Soul Reaver 2... didn't really feel like that. It felt like a journey, like an expedition across Nosgoth, and it was more like look at this, look at that. Like it felt like an open world of Nosgoth in a small sense, like a Blood Omen 2 kind of sort of, but the future, not the past. Whereas Soul Reaver 1 was boss. Well, not boss, but exploration boss. So did you find it quite difficult? Like, which one did you find more difficult?
Like to remaster in general?
Yeah, because of the whole kind of maybe the flow of the game. I think like Soul Reaver 2, like I say, it was very expedition, very go here, go there, and not many bosses, but a lot of environments. Whereas Soul Reaver 1 was environment, boss room.
I mean, in that sense, Soul Reaver 1 is more like a classic Metroidvania. You can just, roam the environment. It's semi-open world. But the way they did textures was very ambitious. Like as I said, the old rock walls are really this giant squares. They're giant made up of many squares, Like with Soul Reaver 2, they optimized the system of textures much more, and instead of having, let's say, 20 squares per texture per one rock wall, you only have like 2 textures or 1, which is basically stretched. So Soul Reaver 2, in that sense, has a lot of stretching, unfortunately. And it's basically a hard limitation. So which is a shame, because then Soul Reaver 1, you can do the textile density for each square is a lot higher because of it. Like you have so many individual squares, and it forms this giant picture, and it may look more sharper because it's not stretched. But SR2 loses a lot of these stretching techniques. So you take just one square. Like a lot of the murals are literally just 512s by 512 squares. We extracted them from the game before, and all of that have all the old textures still extracted.
Yeah.
I mean, they look really cool. For PS2, it's fucking sorry.
That's fine. You can swear. It's fine. It's YouTube. Go on. Yeah, no one cares.
Maybe you beeped that out. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's all right. But it shows. I like that. A little bit of swearing shows passion. It's fine. It's absolutely fine.
It's annoying because I wish the limitation wasn't there, and you had a bit more to work with. So Soul Reaver 2 is a bit limiting. It looks. I mean, for PS2 if you compare it to other PS2 games, it looks brilliant. It looks so good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the models still hold up. I mean, I was surprised that these demon models, like the lightning demon, it's just so detailed. Even though kind of low poly, the way they're designed and made is just brilliant. Like they used every single megabyte they had from PS2, because obviously they had more memory to work with. Soul Reaver 1 was really, really limited, but they kind of made it work somehow by a miracle in the end. Soul Reaver 2 is a bit difficult in that sense. Like when you switch, it won't be such a big difference because they already made really good textures. Lots of these textures they made are really looking great. Even now, some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger. It's mainly the murals are bigger, but it's this limitation of being this small square being stretched to like giant wall in the game, and you can show its age a little bit more in that sense. But Soul Reaver 1 would rather use like 10 squares for this mural, and it still looks really sharp because of it. So it's a bit weird it's more optimized, but it might look slightly worse in some points if you compare it to Soul Reaver 1, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's amazing. No, it's so interesting to hear that, like, because it sort of leads me to my next question, which is, I was wondering, like, now obviously you're at the helm, you've got the remasters under your belt, and like and obviously you can't really tell the future, but would there be an opportunity for, like, I know it's another strange question, but a director's cut, like maybe stuff that that you've explored in the backgrounds of the lore of the games, and maybe history books that have not, they've said, oh, we have these ideas, but because of limitations we can't add in cutscene. I know we talked about, there's lost levels, cutscenes and things like that have been added in, but is there room for a director's cut where you could add in new stuff that you've got a vision for, that you could bleed into this world that could be honoured, do you think?
Well, I obviously can't talk about the future and what may come or may not come. Obviously, I can't really comment on that, but I can just talk about like these levels in general. So we got really lucky with them because we had these builds, the alpha builds, which had these early version of the game crashed a lot, but you could explore these extra levels before they got cut. And then I thought, like, is there any way to get them in the game? And this is where Crystal Dynamics and Aspire together, they helped us basically go through the archive of Crystal Dynamics stuff. They preserved so much. Wow. I think the No-Clip documentary will talk about it in more detail.
Yes, yeah.
But it's a treasure trove of so many, amazing stuff they preserved. And I really, put my hat down to the people who actually didn't throw these tapes and all the documents and all the, these copies of levels which are preserved like from, 20 years back. They still, preserved in their state as they were back in the day, and then they allowed us to go through and pick the best parts. Like that's how we got the lost levels to work, because we had the working files, and it was amazing to be able to put it in the game and actually have players explore it like officially. And Crystal was really happy with giving the players this opportunity, and us too. Like I was so ecstatic, like, oh my god, we're gonna get them in. It was amazing, and it's the first time actually officially something like this was done for Soul Reaver, especially because obviously before it's just kind of need to play through an emulator or something, but now it's properly
so it's been acknowledged, essentially been acknowledged by like the original studio, and
yeah.
So that's
it's part of their legacy, so it's incredible because You're gonna, see the old bosses there, and it's just, and these levels are more complete than the old ones we had before.
Yeah.
So there is, obviously not going to spoil anything, but
No, of
when you're
course,
going to
yeah.
be exploring them, there will be stuff you've not seen before or like ever before, because there are some, new textures which were not there before. These basically are more complete. So it's obviously it's in a museum form, so you don't expect there's going to be puzzles to solve or anything. So it's more like look around and understanding how these levels
Wow.
actually looked and potentially like works. You can kind of deduce what you were meant to be doing. You need to push these 3 levers to raise the water level in the main room of the Undercity to get to the top to the priestess. And it's just amazing. So I'm so grateful to Crystals for giving us this chance to implement this into the game. So it's just amazing to be able to relive these levels officially, like because I've been obsessed with them like ever since the Lost Worlds, constantly trying to find okay, how do we get to play them, and then obviously the alpha levels came and it was amazing, like this discovery, and now it's official. So
That's amazing.
yes,
It sounds
I'm
like,
so happy about
honestly,
it.
it sounds like Crystal, obviously, through the entire process of, I'm assuming, Tomb Raider, and now they've been so giving and very helpful, and they've not held you back at all. They've said, yeah, look, here's the stuff, go wild, do what you've got to do, bring these games back.
Yeah, they've been amazing. They've been helping us obviously with Aspire as well. So it's been a great partnership. So I'm really happy. This whole thing just it's coming to fruition now, and fans are happy, hopefully. And the game's releasing in a few days, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just an honor to be able to work on these games. Obviously I have a big shoes to fill. Amy's one of my idols, and obviously Daniel Kabuko I regard someone like as my mentor and a friend. So I just hope we do them justice, and then when they do play them, they think they did a good job. So. And it's a team effort. It's not just me. We have so many talented programmers. The whole team is giving their best they can to make this happen. So I hope you'll see that in the finalized game.
Shout outs to the entire team as well. Obviously, I know obviously I'm talking to yourself, but massive shout outs to the team and everyone involved, and to Amy and everyone else who has jumped on board to like support it. Because I think that's what you need. It's good to obviously remaster games, but if you get studios that are difficult, people that used to direct the games or used to be involved are difficult or don't want to kind of help out, or they're not interested in the project anymore because they had a bad experience, it can obviously sour the experience. But it sounds like you had zero issue, and you've got all the
They're
support.
so passionate, all of us. It's a passion project.
Amazing.
And obviously I can't talk about who worked on the game yet.
Yeah, of course.
You'll see it check the credits when the game comes out.
I will be. I will be, yeah.
So I had the privilege to be able to actually be announced a little bit early than everybody else, but it's almost there. So I can't wait to be able to talk about a bit more after it comes out. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask one or two more questions, a very short one.
Sure.
Yeah. So you obviously I know you.
Sorry, I've been talking and talking.
No, I love it. Honestly, it's just my mind is just it's so good. It's honestly such an honour to speak to you. Honestly, I truly mean that. It's a pleasure, because I think having kind of talking to media is very obviously you don't want to say the wrong thing, get people in trouble, or say something slips out. But I think speaking to a fan, and obviously you're a bigger fan than I am, clearly. But but having, because I'm not a journalist or a media person, for me it's kind of like doing something that I think a lot of people wish they could do. Is just, I want to ask that question, I want to ask the creator, I want to ask the voice actor, they don't want to ask questions. And that for me is kind of like a passion. It's like, just when I used to be a kid reading PlayStation Magazine and reading like the interviews they used to do and how they got these ideas, for me that's like, I'm doing it right now, but I'm living it like right at this moment. So it's such an honour. So I appreciate that. So we touched on it briefly. You've mentioned it a few times. Dead Sun, like,
yes.
Do you know, like, I'm not going to say do you know what happened to it, because it just got cancelled and I don't know why, but that's not the important part. For me, what the important part is, will Dead Sun rise again, do you think? Do you think it will rise again?
No.
No? Don't think it will rise again? No.
Are you hoping for it, or?
I don't. My next question kind of rolls into my next question, but for me, I was shocked when I saw Dead Sun. It shocked me a little bit, because I was a bit like, wow, this is a massive departure from what I'm used to. Like, if it felt very consistent through Legacy of Kain and Soul Reaver, everything very, very consistent. Even the multiplayer Nosgoth felt so consistent with the themes, and in Dead Sun it felt like it just went like that, and I was like, oh, okay. And so I was just, my curiosity was, will it ever come back? Is it truly?
Well,
yeah.
Obviously, I can't speak for anybody else, just myself. So I personally feel like it probably won't, because obviously the creators, Climax Studios, moved on from it, and it was obviously cancelled. It was also Square Enix back then as well. So they got it's just. I actually just watched that video.
Yeah, I watched a documentary about it on Raina's channel. All the links are in the description box. You can watch it there. I'll link it. You can watch it. Yeah.
I mean, what I can say about it is, like, obviously after Amy was gone, and obviously it's no longer Crystal doing the LOK games for a while. Obviously, new people wanted to leave their own mark. I assume their own interpretation. And I think if there was a new entry in the future at some point, who knows? We need I would like somebody with a vision, who understands the story, who plays the games over and over, and not just once, 20 years ago. You'd have to be knowledgeable.
You're sitting right here. I mean, it's not a question. It's not really a question, is it? That's basically the truth, isn't it? To be honest. And your team as well. You and your team.
I just want the best for the series. That's all. Let's get somebody competent in, and let's get it done. But obviously, who knows what's going to happen? I can't comment. I can't promise anything. I can't say, it's going to be no. I don't know. I don't know myself. So, we'll just keep our fingers crossed. More LOK is always great. So, I'll always be championing for more LOK in whatever form there is. As long as it's, still canon, adhering to the canon, and it makes sense. Basically, that's my thing. So it doesn't make. Is that okay?
That's fine. That's a perfect answer for me, because I was I personally, I watched a documentary a while ago after probably watch it again to refresh my memory. But for me, like Dead Sun, for me, and that sounds really. I know obviously you're very passionate. I don't want to offend you, but for me, Dead Sun just felt too this way.
Too different.
It did. I liked.
I mean, it had some good ideas. I mean, the gameplay looked fun. Like you just summon the wings and fly around, and with all this almost Devil May Cry kind of fight style to it, or a Batman Arkham Asylum kind of style. But there were some things which I didn't like some of the aesthetic, and some of the story just felt a bit too detached.
Detached, that's the word I was going to use. It felt so detached from the world of Nosgoth and how it was built and what it was built on, which was Kain. And the pillars.
And I know they were trying to go back to Kain eventually, but obviously never given the chance because it never came out.
Yeah.
And obviously there were some qualitative concerns or something. Obviously I can't really talk because obviously I wasn't part. I learned about it afterwards.
Fans' opinion. That's
It doesn't seem like the ideal game I would like to go with, if I could choose. So We'll see what happens, I guess.
Well, my last question, and obviously you probably can't answer this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Oh no!
I'm going to say one word: defiance.
What about it?
Oh, okay. I can follow up. Okay, I can follow up.
You mean
what's happening with? I mean, I'm not going to say what's happening with defiance, but defiance. What are we? I know you can't. I know you can't say, but defiance. That's all I can really say. Defiance. I'll let you explore that however you want, if you want to.
Yeah, I can't really comment on that.
All right, that's a good.
As I said, more LOK content is great for me, so we'll just keep hoping.
Yeah,
it got us here to the remasters of 1 and 2, so at least it's a start. So we'll see where it goes.
I'm probably plucking things out of air here, but I'm pretty sure I saw that Soul Reaver became very, very heavily pre-ordered. It was a massive pre-order. It's done very, very well in pre-orders.
It's been announced. It's been really well.
There you go.
So I'm really happy. Obviously, we're really grateful for fans trusting us. Obviously, Soul Reaver had really bad ports in the past, like the PC port, and then the original PC port wasn't the best, and then it got re-released on digitally, and that didn't really work too well either. So I know myself.
Money talks, defiance walks. So we'll go with that. I'll say that for myself. That's for me.
Can I maybe just mention because the dynamic soundtrack was one of the big things which the original PC port did not have.
Yeah, please. Because
I keep talking. I'm like, it was one of the big things we brought back, and I was really insistent, to our audio engineers, we have to bring it back. You need to make it work. And I'm really proud that we managed to do it, and the music does adapt, and it's just like on PS1. So it's to me it's one of our biggest, together with the FMV, achievements that we managed to make it work, and it was not easy.
No, I can imagine. Just to put it through loads of programs to clean it up and make it sharper, so it came out really.
No, that's not how it works. Basically,
okay. I'm learning. I'm learning.
Yeah, I was explaining this in one of the other interviews. It was in Slovak, but basically we kind of trying to. No, it's not an emulation. It's like we're trying to make it sound like PS1. So this, sorry, there's a term for it. Would you mind if I actually look it up?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, I always said like about PS1 games, it's like the voice acting and audio carried games like that because the graphics were obviously the graphics, but as you go back, that's why they've lived in infamy is because of the audio and because of the voice acting. The voice acting, such respect for, and when you deliver such quality like Soul Reaver did, you know, with the voice acting, I mean, and the audio on that voice acting and all the music that went around it. That's what cemented it in for me as in a legacy. So
yeah, and it's all thanks to Kurt, or mostly thanks to Kurt. He's obviously from Information Society, and he was working on games before, and he's just amazing, not just as a musician but as also audio engineer. I don't know if you watched any of the videos. He's actually talking about Soul Reaver. There's one like for an hour he's talking about music and sound effects and how does it actually work, because obviously he does the it's a bit incorrect term, the MIDI music. He's actually explaining like what it is. It's more like a tracker music. But let me just read you out
please.
the quote from the interview about the music. So it's a synthesizer with support for a reverb, and it has attack, decay, sustain, release for notes.
Oh wow, okay, I have no idea what that last bit means.
It's a very complicated system, but basically it's a sound bank. There's no pre-recorded music at all in Soul Reaver 1 and 2. It's basically just certain sounds, and this synthesizer on this program inside the game decides which one plays when.
Okay.
And there's obviously different lengths, like some are shorter, some are longer, and it's all done in real time, so nothing's pre-recorded. Only
amazing.
These short samples, and it's just this. It's done by it. The Kurt programmed it for the. I think he did most of it in the original Soul Reaver, and it obviously was reused in Soul Reaver 2. And it's just this really amazing system. It's very effective. Like each sound is like just a few kilobytes, and basically it also saves precious. Not just memory, but also size on the disc, because obviously they were limited by the CD-ROMs back then. So it's very effective. And obviously, and Kurt was saying, like, as the time went on, they wanted CD-ROM quality sounds, like waves. Defiance is using wave files, but they're very ineffective. They're really big. Like instead of having 100 kilobytes for one sound, the whole track is like 24 megabytes. Stuff like that. Wow. It's CD-ROM quality. Obviously, does sound good, but it doesn't have the dynamic layer to it as deeply ingrained. I mean, Defiance has dynamic music, but every time you do something, it kind of starts the track over. It's not as
it's like
modular.
Looping in a sense.
Yeah, it's like more like a regular loop. I mean, obviously but in Soul Reaver you have so many different layers, like 9 different layers, like depending, are you near an enemy, are you solving a puzzle, are you doing swimming, are you outside, are you indoors? There's so many different flags, and it's such a complex system. It's amazing. Like I don't think there's anything more complex than this in games. Like Soul Reaver 1 is just so ambitious with everything it does. The graphics, the shifting of the realms.
Yeah, that alone must have been a massive feat, especially.
And with the 2 megabytes of video memory on PlayStation, they just done miracles to make it work. And and Daniel was talking about like how much they were crunching to do it, but because they were so passionate and they knew they had something special, they did the extra mile and went above and beyond to make sure that system worked. And but yeah, the programmers or engineers were not happy when they learned they had to do the morph the vertices, and it's just like, wow, it's just that's why I regard Soul Reaver 1 my favorite. It's my favorite game of all time because of all these things. It's just not just the aesthetic, because obviously Raziel is amazing. Like I wanted to talk at the start, like his design and looks just so unique. How often do you see 3 claw vampires with 2 toes, glowing eyes, but it's just not. It's not a zombie-looking thing. No. He has double spine, his wings. It's just everything's cool about him. Like you just want to play this character, and I think they really nailed that look. Like this anti-hero. Like okay, I really want to play as Raziel. So and it was a big thing coming from Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen. Obviously had Kain as the the character, the hero of that game, or anti-hero, and now becoming the true big bad for one game, and then turning it around again. So I think I really liked what they've done with the story. Coming from Blowerman to, and obviously Raziel is just awesome.
Yeah.
So it was a great addition. So
that's what I mean, and like I said before, a voice makes a character. Without that,
yes,
that voice actor, delivering those lines in that, in that quality, and nailing that. Again, Raziel, when you see him, look, he has no emotion. It's literally his eyes tell his story, and you have to be so on point, I believe, to get a character that iconic over to an audience, and it was achieved. And I think modern audiences, today's gamer, who are seeing this trailer for the first time or experiencing it, are going to be like, wow, this is like, I don't want to say it's like Tomb Raider, but it's in the same vein. And it's like you're exploring, you're solving puzzles, and you're fighting big bads, and going through and learning about the story, and it hooks you in, and it's just it's so exciting.
I think it's mostly because they had really talented casting director, Gordon Hunt, and basically they hired stage actors who've done plays and stuff, Shakespeare stuff, and obviously the whole cast is just phenomenal. They probably don't even play games themselves. I think Michael Bell said he was stuck in the training level and couldn't get out, and had his daughter. And his daughter had to finish it for him. So they're not even gamers, but it gave this game a really artistic quality. They really cared about the voices, and make sure they chose the right person for it. So it's just voice acting is one of the big draws of the game as well. So all these elements just come together and just make this, to me, phenomenal game, which is it's hard to top. So
exactly, it has to be the perfect storm to create something so iconic that has lived for 20 plus years. Is insane.
And it's also the limitations of the time, because obviously if they had maybe more memory to work with, maybe things wouldn't be as effective, or it's just all sorts of things come together in the moment of the time. Like in 1999, this happened and it led to this and this and this. So it's just I admire the original team so much for pulling it off. So
that's amazing. Now it's yours, and now it is yours.
No, it's my turn. Yes,
forever etched in history. Yeah. Amazing. You are the pillar of balance. The scion of balance.
Oh God! One of the fans made a meme out of me. Put my face on the pillar of balance.
Really? I never saw that. I just kind of,
I can send it to you afterwards. Maybe you can put it on screen.
Yeah, definitely. That's the. I'll credit the fan, and that could be the thumbnail for this.
William Flower. Hello.
Yeah, that could be the thumbnail then.
Yeah, he's done quite a lot of memes recently. I mean, the meme game is really good. The fans were making some more extra last night. I was like, oh my God, I'm saving that one.
Brilliant.
It's really good stuff.
That's so good. Well, that's my questions pretty much covered. Everything's kind of covered. But is there anything you'd like to finish on? Anything I haven't touched on you'd like to bring up? And anything?
I made actually notes, but they actually haven't mentioned.
I wrote quite, like I said, I wrote questions, but I kind of went through most of it, and then I kind of asked everything really. But no, it's been great.
I think we covered almost pretty much everything I wanted, and maybe I'll keep some other things for other interviews.
Yeah,
to keep
of course.
them fresh.
Yeah, please.
But I think we covered everything what I wanted to talk about. Did I talk too much? I hope not.
No, honestly,
just about right.
You talking is what I think people want to hear. If I was rabbiting on, no one's going to want to hear what I'm going to say. I could barely direct a bath, let alone a game. But is there anything you'd like to close out with? Anything you'd like to say to anybody or to people maybe watching?
God, I'd hate to be put spots like that. I can talk naturally when you ask things, but say something this now. I'm like, oh God. I freeze.
The game. People haven't played the original Soul Reaver. How would you convince them to play this one? What would you say to them to get them to play the remaster?
I don't want to convince them to play. I want them to see it and say to themselves, "Oh, this looks interesting. What was this character about? What is this story about?" I want them to feel what I felt as a child back in 1998-9. Like this, it caught my attention because the designs were cool and there was something unique about the gameplay. You could glide, you could shift realms. Like it's something unique to Soul Reaver. And obviously, some of the new games, I think Medium does the different realms thing on the screen, but the unique aesthetic of the game, the soundtrack, the voice acting. I hope it will be these will be the things which draw the new players in. And obviously, it is the gameplay of the 1999 games of PlayStation 1. It's a remaster, so we couldn't just change everything because that will become a remake then. So obviously you keep that in mind, and it is a 1999 in the 90s game at heart. Obviously we added the map and compass to slightly help. It's completely voluntary. You don't have to use it. You can just ignore it. If you obviously like you've played it for hundreds of times, like you know where you're going, you don't need these things. But hopefully it will be enough for people who get frustrated with forget where they need to go, and it's a little nudge, okay. And it was also Soul Reaver 2 had these things, even though it's technically a linear game. So I never felt like I needed to look at the map or the compass, but it's nice to have. And it adds a bit of a lore, you know, see where you are in the world. And Soul Reaver 1 was lacking it. It's especially being a semi-open world, you can kind of get lost.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will help the newcomers, you know, orient themselves and okay, keep going and don't give up on, you know, don't give up on after defeating the first boss because you don't remember where to go. So the game will slightly help you to, you know, keep going and then don't give up because it does reward you because once you finish story 1, okay, to be continued, I want to know more.
Exactly.
So and obviously you have story 2 to play straight after. So I was like, yeah, just keep playing and then get involved. Hopefully play Blood Omen. I saw many people on PlayStation Network buying the game and playing Blood Omen 1 and 2, and lots of them first time or just coming back to it after such a long period of hiatus. Yeah. So good to refresh memory. And I saw many people on Twitter and Blue Sky saying they're playing it to just refresh their memory. So that's really good to see. Amazing. So they'll get the references because Soul Reaver 2 has a lot of Blood Omen 1 references, and there's also some references in Soul Reaver 1 as well to Blood Omen. So it'll be great to have that. Okay, when I played it, obviously I did not play Blood Omen, so I did not get those references. So I played Blood Omen actually last because I could not find it because obviously I got my PS1 in 1998. Yeah. I was already 2 years past Blood Omen's release, and getting games in my country at that time was quite difficult. So obviously they didn't have the old stuff anymore. But yeah, I got to play it in the end last. But you know, I'm glad I did. So it's even Blood Omen 2, even you know, it's a black sheep of the franchise. I recommend people to play through it just to experience it at least once. You know, it's not my favorite game of the franchise, but you know, I played it several times just you know to experience the atmosphere. That you know. There's good qualities about all of these games. You know, they all have drawbacks. Obviously, they are 90s, you know, early 2000 games. So obviously, you have to keep that in mind. They don't have the modern sensibilities, like you know. But we tried our best, like you know, put the camera on the right stick so we can actually tilt it now. Because when you play, when I switched to the old version of the PC port or the PlayStation, it just doesn't feel right anymore. No. And especially when I need to test something or check something, you can't skip cutscenes and you have to kind of sit there. I was like, I just need to check this one thing, and I can't. And I keep pressing the button or touching the right control stick out of habit because I've obviously done it for so long now. It just feels so natural. So I just want the players to feel natural when they play it, like, you know, because they have quality of life improvements, so I hope they like them. And even the old players be like, okay, this makes sense, and why was it done this way? Yeah. So yeah.
No, that makes all the sense in the world, because when you briefly mentioned there about, like, you know, accessibility for, I think a lot of people complained recently about having, you know, current generation games, even Resident Evil 4 did this, where everything's covered in paint, yellow paint here, yellow paint there, white paint here, white. Just, it's like even like, you know, God of War, they said, you know, Atreus was talking too much, like, oh, this is how you figure this. People don't like that. They like to figure things out, and I think Soul Reaver was like the bastion of you've got to figure this out, you know, flipping the boxes, and it's like, oh, I've done that wrong.
I mean, it puts kind of pressure or the onus on the player to listen. I mean, a lot of, obviously they didn't have compass or map, but you were giving like compass directions by Elder God, by Ariel, go north, go east, and you kind of had to orient yourself. Okay, so where is east from where I am? Obviously the compass will help with it, and it's a shame the original didn't have it, but now it's back. And if you don't want to use the map, you can just use the compass and then go in that general direction, and you will get there. And, you know, all you have to do is just listen to the characters. And it's obviously, you kind of have to be a bit patient and observant, look around for clues. Obviously there's no yellow paint or anything like that. It's all on you to, you know, observe and find explore. Like, just have fun exploring. I mean, it's not that big of a world. You can find it in the end. I mean, I saw some players like completely skipped all the glyphs. They didn't realize they were there. So I hope this will encourage people to explore more when they have the map and they'll see, okay, there's something there, so I'm going to try and find it. So and obviously memory, the symbols with the map, you can see all the symbols on there once you discover them, obviously not before. So that will help because I don't know, as you were writing down the symbols maybe when you were playing some games, like you know, solution to puzzles, or you had a little notebook where you were playing.
Yeah.
I think we did this in '90s, like Silent Hill puzzle. How do I? I need to write it down.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
You had to back then. You had to write it.
They were not. Or buy a guide.
Yeah,
100%. I had no internet.
Oh god, yeah. I remember when I got Dino Crisis 1, it was like, you buy the game and it came free with the guide. It says on the corner, comes free with every purchase. So £45 for Dino Crisis 1 at the time. And it was like, here's the guide for it. It was like, oh, awesome.
Oh my god, I love Dino Crisis, by the way. So it's one of my favorite PS1 games as well.
Maybe they could get in touch and you maybe could sort this Dino Crisis remake out or something. Get on.
I would love to see one.
Get on to Capcom. What's going on, Capcom? Excellent. But Raina, it's been awesome. It's been such a pleasure to speak to you. I hope you've explained everything as far as you possibly can. I've given you room to do that, and I hope everyone's answered questions that people wanted to hear, and
I hope I was coherent enough, because I feel sometimes I ramble.
No, perfect. Honestly, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much. And Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remaster comes out on December the 10th. You can get it on PS5, PS4, PC, Xbox Series X, and Xbox consoles. I don't play Xbox, so I'm being
Switch.
Oh, Switch. Sorry, and Switch. Sorry, I don't even play Nintendo stuff either. Sorry about that. But and Switch as well. But thank you so much again. I really appreciate it, Raina. And I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day. And thanks again.